King's Quest III, the third game in the King's Quest franchise, released in 1986. And it's set about 18 years after King's Quest II. Now, I say about 18 years, in part due to who we are playing in the game. You see, we are following Gwydion, a young lad who has been who was sold into servitude of an evil wizard named Manannan. And Gwydion's 18th birthday is fast approaching. And Manannan slave boys don't tend to last past 18. And so, we must help Gwydion escape. Now, this is often cited as one of the most, if not the most difficult King's Quest games. And that is in part is that during the main part of your game, where you are, quote, trying to get out of servitude with Manannan, you have an in-game time clock playing, or counting down, or going, I should say. Keeping with real time, and only pauses when you go into your menus and that. It is during a period of 25 minutes that you can freely explore either the house or leave the house and explore the lands of Ludor. You see, you must go through and obtain everything you need. Now, this was part of the brilliance of the copy protection in the game. That took some doing to get around at the time. You see, in order to escape, Gwydion must prepare spells. There's one spell in particular that will help him escape. The cat cookie spell. So, you must get, of course, all the ingredients you'll need. Now, the spells that you are told about, pretty much each one is useful in the game. There's only actually one spell that is totally useless, but complete for the points. I mean, there is a spell that will turn you into an eagle or fly. This is useful. There is a spell that will cause a deep sleep. This is also useful at the right point. There are spells that there is a spell that will allow you to understand animals. And believe it or not, this is about the only spell that once you put it into effect, you can actually hide it. There's a spell that you will need to escape Manannan, and it will transform him into something harmless, relatively harmless. This is also something that you can carry on you, but you'll have to mix it with the right food. Yes, when Manannan is out journeying, he will want something when he comes back to eat. Which means that you have about 4 journeys that he can go on before you can move on. And if you play the game enough times and have a good plan, you actually can get him eliminated by the end of his second journey. If you're really good at it, you can get rid of him probably by the end of his first journey, but you'd have to have everything you need. And I don't think you can have everything you need on that first journey, unless you're very skilled. There's a spell that will allow you to be invisible and cause up a massive storm. The only thing that is not helpful, or could not be helpful, is a teleportation at will spell. Like I said, you can complete that, but it's pretty much random, and you can pretty much get yourself into a very bad situation because of it. You could be put somewhere where you're not even ready to be yet. Now, the bulk of the game is pretty much exploring the land of Lador, finding everything you need to cast the spells, avoiding dangers, traps, and dangers that come quick, like Medusa. If you're not facing away from her, or she gets too close to you before you can hold up the mirror, you will die. You will have bandits running around, and if they catch you, they'll rob you, and you'll have to sneak into their lair and successfully get everything back. You have to sneak into their lair anyhow, because if you need to buy some stuff, and you don't have any gold because you're a slave. You don't get paid. You will find some of your ingredients all throughout the land of Ludor, and some you can only find by random, because some screens you'll have an eagle fly by, and occasionally the eagle will drop a feather, and you need that feather. A good portion of ingredients and things you need for the ingredients are, of course, hidden or in the wizard's house. Some are in his lab, which you have to find. And yes, every time you leave the lab and you get used to the 25-minute cycle, or whatever cycle the game plays on, when you play it, you have to close everything. And you must hide all the stuff in your inventory that's marked with a star, because that is the stuff you cannot be caught with. You get caught with it, you die. You get caught breaking the rules, or maybe you trespass somewhere where you weren't, or you don't do a chore when you're told, you will get punished. You could be hung from the ceiling. You could be locked in your room. I think there's a few other catchy little ones. But the most trying thing in this game is going to be the casting of spells. And while it is a form of copy protection, it is a bitch. Now, if you've heard enough lore, read enough fantasy novels, read enough or seen enough fantasy movies, you learn everything is important. Add the ingredient at the right time. Say the right words. Perform the right motions. You misspell, you forget punctuation, anything, at any point in the casting of a spell, and you will have a nasty effect. That is basically game ending for you. You could look like you're phased out of existence, or partially there. You could have grown whiskers and a tail like a cat. You could be standing in the middle of your own personal thunderstorm. Anything can happen if you perform one step wrong. And this was a brilliant part of copy protection. And I say this because if you look at the actual manual, they have the stuff on the spells on what looks like parchment paper. And in cursive, I believe. Or in some script-like font that makes it a little bit hard to read if you're not used to the cursive lettering. Even if you are used to the cursive lettering, it still can be a little difficult. So you have to do it properly. If you misspell, if you screw up, game over. Now, once you have all the spells done and you have Manannan out of the way, you can move on. Of course, finishing the spells, like I said, can be difficult because some things you need, you can only do it when you can venture into certain places safely. You can't venture into the bandit's lair if a bandit is awake. You can't venture into the cottage of the three bears unless the bears are out on a walk. And even then, the best time you want to enter is when they have their porridge cooling. So, you know, it's all a trick. And yes, you want to get the things you need in there. I mean, Mama Bear likes to sew. You need a thimble full of dew. You need to get a thimble. So you got to get it from Mama Bear. You have the desert, where you have to, of course, get rid of Medusa first, but you have to find a dead snake skin to continue to finish one spell. Also in Ludor, behind a cave that's guarded by a giant spider, so you have to get rid of the spider. I'm not telling you how to do that. There's an oracle, and the oracle will reveal who Gwydion is. For it is at this point in the game that you discover, if it hasn't been spoiled for you by now, you've had 30-some years. But you have Ludor. Now, you have the oracle who reveals to you that Gwydion is actually Prince Alexandra. Alexander! One of the two twin children of the royal family of Daventry. And he must get back to Daventry quickly, because his twin sister Rosella has been sacrificed to a three-headed dragon. Luckily, you get there before the dragon has turned her into a crispy meal. But of course, to get there, you must get passage on a ship, which happens to be a pirate ship. Yeah, pirate ship. Oh, yeah. So they throw him into the hold. The captain puts all his stuff into a chest in his room. So now you have to get that. And you can find out from some mice that there is some treasure worth picking up on the way once you get there. The whole pirate ship trip, I believe, takes about 15 minutes. Which means you have 15 minutes to somehow sneak in to the captain's chamber, get your stuff from the chest, get back down to the hold, and then do something to put everybody into a nice, make them indisposed for a little bit while you escape once you're near Daventry. Swim to shore. This is actually a good thing because there's a magic map in the game that you can actually watch it to, go to the screen to look at to get an idea where you are, how close you are to Daventry. And also be in anticipation of when when the lookout yells, "Lando! Lando, yeah, oh yeah, Lando." And of course, once you get to land, you're fine. You head back. You are good. Everything's good. You have to get over the mountains. There's a big Yeti there. It's a Yeti. You could actually find his cave. Try and venture into it if you're feeling daring. But you want to get past him. And once he spots you, you have very little hope of getting past him. It's an area for save scumming, trust me. Sierra games were notorious for save early, save often. And again, if you would have used that teleportation stone, you could have actually ended up in Daventry without taking the ship. Which you wouldn't be able to get the shovel to get the treasure. But you could also have ended up someplace where you didn't want to be. It's a thing with the map. You can actually use the map to travel to an area without being caught, or without the random factor. You can get to where you want to go easier. And once you get down there, once you get past the mountain, you must then, well, the only other individual you could run into in Daventry is the gnome, you know, Rumpelstiltskin. And he'll gladly, once you rest your resolve, run off and tell your parents, she's alive, he's alive! And then you make your way to the castle after defeating the three-headed dragon. And we have a touching ending, with the family happy to see the children, the magic mirror again, once again, clear. Yay! And Graham figures it's time to pass off his adventuring cap. And the game ends with it in mid-flight. The end. The hell? Must have been up. That was weird. I had a loud sound behind me there. But that is the basics of King's Quest III in a nutshell. It is... You have a large... I mean, there's some definite step-ups from this. You have areas that you are more likely to have random encounters in, like finding your eagle to get your eagle feather, or running into the bandits or Medusa. The Yeti is another random factor. It ends on a happy or slightly happy cliffhanger. A happy cliffhanger. It's a good game. There are puzzles to it that are more thinkers. Nothing too complex, like, you know, quickly get that word typed out to shine the mirror. Don't look at Medusa. That kind of thing. Or figuring out how long it takes to win. I say it's at 25 minutes. But of course, you know, if you pause or anything like that, that's why you have to watch the in-game clock. It's actually one of the few King's Quest games who actually have a clock visible. Most of the others are more or less timed by when you walk onto a screen or not. And this is a good game for the franchise. I know when it was first released, people were a little upset that it didn't look like you were playing as King Graham, a totally new character, and then you get revealed that, oh, he's part of the royal family. That's okay then. And then, of course, you get into you find out later that you are part of the family. The longest part of the game is pretty much while you're trying to escape Ludor, and everything else can go relatively quickly. It is a good game. it is a good game. It is also, it can be a bit trying because all it takes is one mistype and you screw everything up. And seeing that pop up, you feel like you did something wrong. That ends it. But it's still, like I said, it's still a good game. It's worth the play if you want to play the whole series. I'd be arguing that it's not. Like it's all it's very, to put the right words, and that's the trick. It is very heavy on the typing and doing everything right. And I think that's actually a good thing when it comes to talking about magic and magic spells, because, like I said, everything is important. You can't misspeak, you can't mistype, you can't miss an ingredient, and you take a chance when you try something new. But that, of course, that's everything. But that's all I'm going to say about King's Quest III. I thank you for listening, if you listened this far. And I do hope you check out the other things that are up on the channel. And again, this is Rich Kale here on YouTube, Rich Gen X elsewhere. Bye all!